I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is July 12th, 2018, and in this video I'll be going over 3 Linux commands: copy, echo, and secure copy. Okay, first copy. This should be pretty simple. So I have in my folder created a couple of files. So here we have, we've got two 100 megabyte files, file 100 megabyte and file _2. And I also made a folder called my folder that has a bunch of 100 megabyte files. So I'm going to move those around. Let me clear this. So copy is just for moving things around or copying things. So, well, not for moving, for copying. So here I can look and see those two files. And I can do something really simple. So I can take that file.100 megabyte file and I can copy it somewhere. So copy this file and I could copy it to a new name. So I could say file _3.100 megabyte. I'll just call it new name. I'll just call it new name. New name. .text. .file. It's kind of binary. So now I should see in here there is a new name, and they'd be the same, exact same file as that. Also, I could copy other places. So let me say copy. I copy it here, or I could say tilde would be my home directory. So if I did here new name, kind of the same thing. I could have done it here, or it's kind of nice to have that tilde sometimes when you know you're someplace else to go back to your home directory. Or I could have, copied it someplace like temp. So here if I just do it like, here I'm renaming it because I'm in the same folder. But if I typically don't want to rename it, I don't need to do anything. I just need to give it a directory. So here I'll give it the temp directory. And now if I look in the temp directory, I'll see it's there. Also, just to prove they're all the same, I could do a diff on file 100 megabyte and temp file. Should diff them, and since I didn't get a return value, they're exactly the same. And also locally I have the new name and the new name, and they're all the same. So that's kind of the basics of copy. Also, I can copy multiple things at once. Let me go remove that file from temp. So I can just show there's nothing in temp. And I can do things like this. So I can say copy file star, which will actually copy file and file _2 to temp. So I can use things like that. So now I should be in temp, and there we go, they're both there. Now the next thing I could do is I can also copy folders over. And so this might seem like what you would do, but this actually does not work. So I say copy my folder, which contains multiple files, to temp, and it's going to reject it because what you have to do is you have to do recursive. You do a -R in front of here, and it will recursively copy everything. It'll copy that folder and any subfolders. It'll copy the whole tree, but not symbolic links. But I'm not going to get to symbolic links. Those are files pointing somewhere else. But all regular files will copy them over. That's fine. But I have, I think, a gig of data in there. I think I have 11 100 meg files, so a little over a gig. So it might take a few seconds here to copy over. But it is copying recursively. Dun dun dun. Give it a second. There we go. So now if I look at the temp directory, I should see my folder in there. And there's all the files. So there's copy. So now on to the next one, echo. Echo is pretty simple, but it gets used a lot in different scripting things. So echo, you can say echo, and then within some quotes, just say something. It'll echo out back what you just sent it to. So a lot of times using it in scripts when you want to give some information out while things are happening. But also some interesting things you can do in here. So you can say hello, and actually what you can do is there's ways to embed commands within commands. So if I do this $sign parentheses, and I use a command called date, it'll actually put the information in that echo. So now it'll execute that date command, which actually will return Thursday, July 12th, blah, blah. And so you can do interesting things like that. Let me see. Hello, this server's host name is hostname. That should work. HA proxy. Okay, cool. So little things like that. Other interesting things that you can do that might make sense depending on what you're doing is you can also, if I try to do things like this, if I try to say hello I tried to do a backslash n, which typically means carriage return, make a new line. That does not work out of the gate. You actually get a literal back. But if you put a -e in here, it will work. And so now I get 2 lines, as expected for most of us programmers. But also this is very interesting because you can actually use another thing in here. You can actually use, well, it's not going to work on here because I'm on another server. You can do a \a, which is the bell. I guess it does work. Okay, good. And so you heard that little bling. And that could be important because sometimes you might be running, I've used things like that, or I've actually even used the say command in Mac OS, because sometimes you might have a long-running thing that you are paying attention to out of the corner of your eye. And so sometimes having a noise can trigger you and you can go pay attention to it more. So it's an interesting thing to know. So there's echo. Pretty simple, use a lot, especially in scripting. It's nice to know that you can actually have it do some audio too, just in case, if that makes sense with what you're doing. Okay, now on to secure copy. One of my favorites, where you can do a lot of cool stuff. Okay, secure copy is when you're using your SSH to secure copy between servers that you have SSH access to. So I have SSH access to this HA proxy box, but if I clear out of here, so now I'm on my own server, my own computer right here, what I can do is I can start secure copying stuff. So I can say secure copy, well, let me do this so I have it right here, SSH proxy ls. So I can see what files are over there. So I can say secure copy HA proxy :tilde. And so now I'm in my home directory and I can say file, file.100 megabyte .file and copy it here. So I'm going to use a secure copy to pull that file over. And the nice thing is if it's a big file like this, it'll actually give you a rate, which is kind of nice. If you have something really big, you can see how long it's going to take. Typically, I'm on my own network, so even 100 megs goes pretty quick, or even a gig will go pretty quick. But if you're moving big stuff around, it's nice to get that feedback. Let's see. Also, I could secure copy this back. So I can say file 100 megs HA proxy tilde, and I'll just rename it. New from secure copy.file. And so now if I go back and look at that, I should say there is the new from secure copy. So not only do we secure copy it over, we renamed it in the process. Let's see, what else? Also, you can do recursion too, just like the copy. If you want to get a folder over here, well, before I do that, you can actually, like I say, HA, you can do grab multiple files at once. So just like I did before, I can say file star here, and that should pull down 2 files. Now, unlike rsync, secure copy is not going to check the file, so it'll actually download them no matter what. rsync, which I'm not going to go over right now, is a much better choice depending on how you set it up, because it will try to sync files. If you already got the file, it's not going to re-download it. Secure copy will. So you can see here I have both files now. So I guess I have some other stuff here too. That's from before. Okay, but it copied both files over. Now if I try to copy over an entire folder via secure copy, and so I can say my folder, right? My folder, copy my folder here. It's going to say it's not a regular file. It won't copy it over. So again, you have to do -r for recursion, and now it should pull it down. There we go, pulling it down. And it's nice here. Now you can see as they go, you can kind of see the rate. You can see them coming through. So it's nice to get that feedback, which I'm glad they did that, especially when you're trying to pull in a lot of big files. Okay, now the last thing that a lot of people don't realize you can do with secure copy, which is, I didn't realize for a long time, but it is very nice. There are times when you might have access to a couple boxes. You can SSH to a couple boxes, but those 2 boxes can't SSH to each other. They don't know about each other. They don't have permissions to talk to each other. And even though there are some ways around that, what happens if you want to pull a file from one server and put it onto another one? What you might typically do is you might secure copy it to your computer and then secure copy it back up to the other computer because you're the go-between. But there actually is a way you can do that in a single command and not have to worry about having a file to clean up afterwards locally. So what you can do is I will go over here onto one of my other boxes. Column. That's wiki. There we go. This column box. And I will just create an odd file. So vi odd file.txt. I am going to copy you over. Okay, so normally I can't, this box does not have access to the HA proxy box. I can't just secure copy it from here. But what I can do is I could do this. Wiki. I could do odd file.txt and pull it down and then do the reverse, grab that odd file and push it up to HA proxy, like I just said. But there's another way. What you can do is do a -3. So you're kind of doing a three-way communication. You're the go-between and you're passing these files through in a sense. The only bad thing about it doesn't give you a lot of communication back. So that's the one thing I don't like about it. But it works pretty well. So I can say odd file.txt from the golem. So I'm, in a sense, being the go-between. And then I go to HA proxy. And just there, I'm not going to rename it. I'll just call it odd file. Oh, odd file. Oops. Oh, see, that's the bad thing. It doesn't, see, I just mistyped that, so that file does not exist. But I don't get any messages back. So that's one thing I don't like. Okay, so now that should have been fine. So let me go SHHA proxy, and then cat odd file.txt on the HA proxy box. And there you go. Well, let me go over there just so you can see it better. So ls, there's the odd file. And yep, it did copy it over. So that is another really useful thing to know about secure copy, that you can save yourself a little time in your scripting so that you can actually pass things through. The only bad thing is you don't get feedback if you mess up like I just did. Okay, so there's the 3 commands. And now with that, I'm going to do a little hack at the end here to show just a little, I like to put a hack at the end. It's not any killer hack, it's just some interesting little things you can do. Okay, a little hack. And when I mean a little hack, I mean just something that's interesting you fiddle around with. We're not talking about hacking into NASA. We're just talking about fiddling with a little bit of Linux to do something interesting. And this one's going to be really simple, but it's something I actually like a lot. So a lot of times I have configuration files, and when you're reading through them, sometimes to highlight stuff, it's nice to have some big text so you can actually see what's going on. So you have essentially what becomes like ASCII art. You know, so here's like, it says hello, but it's actually a bunch of lines saying hello. So one way to do that, and you may have to install this. I've already installed it, but it's not by default. It's called Figlet. So if you're in Ubuntu, which I am, you have to do sudo apt-get install Figlet. I think that's how you pronounce it. And here's this Figlet tool is really neat because I can say Figlet, hello, and it makes a big hello for me. There's a few other features to it where you can like slant it and do some things, but I typically don't do that. But what I like to do is I like to put these in configuration files, and usually when I'm putting them in configuration files, they need to be commented out somehow, usually pound symbols in front of them. So what I usually want to do is do something like this, you know, new servers. So I have a section of new servers or something, and I want to comment this out. So what I do is a couple of things. So I could do this. I could append them to my config file, right? Config.file. And it gets appended to it, and then I can go fiddle with it. And life is good. But then I have to go back and edit it by hand and put the pound signs in, all that stuff. Well, we can do a couple of things to make our life a little more simple. So we can pipe that into sed. And on sed, we can do, we can say s, and for the, this caret symbol means, this is regular expression. This caret symbol basically, this is above the number 6, basically says before the first character. So before the first character, replace what's before the first character, which makes it a little funny, with a pound. So in essence, you're putting the first character there. So if I do that, how about I put a slash there? There we go. I put a pound in front of all that, so it's commented out. Now for me, I like to have a little bit of space there too, so I'll actually put a space or 2 right there. And now I get kind of what I want. The only issue I have right now is, in addition to that, I like to, for me personally, I also like to have a big long line of pound symbols, so it really distinguishes it. And that becomes a little problematic because we have to, I could go in, I could put this into the config file and do it, but I want to do it in one line. So what I can do is I want to figure out how long, what's the longest line here. And so I can pipe this into word count with a capital dash L, but a capital L. And that will give me the longest line. So the longest line here is 59 characters. So I want to put 59 pound symbols on the top and on the bottom. So how do I do that in one line? There are some ways, but it's a fight. So I kind of came up with 3 commands that kind of worked. So what you can do, and this first part I like, this is kind of cool. I had to go look this up just an hour ago because I was like, how do I do this? Because usually I'm a little lazy and I just go do it in the configuration file by hand. But you can actually use a couple combinations of commands. So the easiest way that I think is kind of slick is you can actually use head. So you can say head -c 59, because we want that 59 number. And we can look at dev0. So dev0 is a special file that if we use it, in this case, we're going to get the first 59 characters of it. It's going to be zeros, not the text 0, but a literal 0. So if I did this right now, I think you won't see any output because it's like a literal 0, not a character 0. So what I have to do is I have to pipe that into something that's going to convert that literal 0 into a pound symbol. And so we can use tr for that. That'll replace a character. And so we say, we have to use a backslash here. A literal 0, replace that with a pound. I thought this was kind of slick. And boom, now I got 59 pound symbols. So I thought that was kind of nice. So what you can do is you literally do this command, and you can actually do multiple. If you're unaware of this in Linux, you can actually do multiple commands on one line. So I can say date, and it runs 3 commands in succession. So I'm just going to run 3 commands in succession. So I'll say that. Another thing you may be unaware, if I can do this backslash right here, that is not part of any command. What it allows me to do is hit the enter key to kind of start writing another command. The only reason you want to do that is if you're doing something like this where I'm trying to show people things, and for convenience it looks a little pretty, but that itself is not part of any command. And then we'll come up here and do the figlet. And again, the slash at the end, so the same figlet we just did. And then again, the last command will be, we'll copy and paste this. Well, I don't need the semicolon though. Don't need the semicolon. And that should get us what we need. So if I run this, we didn't, oh. I cheated there, didn't I? So let me go back. Here. So we got that. Boom. We want my new servers. Figlet new servers. And we want that. I just messed myself up, didn't I? Okay. So there's 59. So I'm using my cheat notes over here, which I didn't write very well this time around. So there's my head. New line. I'll copy this guy. Oh, that's the final command. That's why it didn't work. Let's do it the right way. I'm getting ahead of myself one command, right? So, backing up. So here we are, 59. Right, so 59. Like that. We want that. And so we do that. New line, paste. Got ahead of me. I want it all pretty. There we go. Why'd you run? Okay, give me a second just to copy all this down. Let me just write it over here and copy and paste the whole thing so it'll actually work the first time around. So always when you're trying to do something that doesn't want to work. Okay. There we go. So that in theory should get what I want. There we go. Except for I have a new line in there that I don't want. What are a new line? Somehow I got a new line there. I have to go figure that out. But that's an easy way. Anyway, here's Figlet. That's how you can do it. It's kind of nice. The only thing I have to add to this command, though, is if I want to output this to a server, output this to a configuration file, I have to do something like this. I have to actually put that in every... Since these are 3 different commands, and there's probably a better way to do this. I have to append that. I have to do something like this, where each command is going to append to a file. Otherwise, there are 3 separate commands, right? So let me just do that. And I think I might have run this before. So let me see. Now, yep, I ran this before. Well, then why am I getting that? Or is that just... Let me go remove this. Now I'm curious why I'm... Let me rerun that again. Oh, no, there we go. So we have... I got something wrong there. Oh, no, it's just too long. Okay, so that is a separate line. Why aren't you showing up? There we go. Okay. My bad. Okay, so that was correct. I just have to know this big enough. So now if I rerun this, now that I made the screen bigger. Okay. It's like, that didn't make any sense. Let me rerun that. So it is okay. But you're not showing here. Anyway, it turns out right in that file. Okay, guess it was just too big. Let me go do a double check to make sure I'm not crazy. But anyway, there's the Figlet. Let me do a double check here. Yeah, let me go do a double check here real quick. Okay, it took me a second, but I finally figured out my mistake. So if I do, I'll just copy and paste this command I did before in here. What I did is this head C-0T, replacing all the zeros with pound symbols. That works, but I don't have a carriage return at the end. So if you'll notice, this pound symbol is actually the first pound symbol from the Figlet command. And so when I put that in there, it has a carriage return at the end, but it also has a bunch of white space apparently. And so it just looks like that one command is bigger. So I have to put some carriage returns in here. So a simple way to do it is just use the echo command. So I can do this, where I'm going to echo just essentially nothing, but it will put a carriage return in there at the beginning and at the end. And then I get out what I want. I can also use that in my output. So let me remove temp, my file, just make sure it's removed. And same thing, but, oops, I didn't do that. Remove it again. Okay. Same thing, but I'm going to put the echoes in there and output to the file. So there we go. That command should work. I'm just missing carriage returns. Now, that's what I expect. I kind of like this. This is so useful. I might just make a little script that I stick in there because I like to put these in configuration files all the time anyway, so you might as well make something where you input a pre-figlet, right? Just make a pre-figlet command that actually just does this and you send it to a file. So anyway, there's a little hack which probably took a lot longer than it should have because I was making a mistake with carried return. So interesting stuff to know. But anyway, hope this helps someone out there and I hope you liked the video. Anyway, enough of that. We're done with the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.